Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am DM Stewart, 1981, Duckling Dawn. We are going to be we're going to be doing some 204 tonight. That is Party Draft. Joining me in the booth is our runner tonight, who is Fry Teeth. How we doing tonight, Fry Teeth?
Good. Thanks for having me on tonight.
Let me pop chat out so I can keep an eye on chat while we're doing this. So let's talk a little bit about the flags. I'm going to bring our flags to the front. Just looking at our presets here. Welcome, Raiders. So, for our goal tonight, we just have actually, can we see the okay, there we go. There we go, that's better. For our goal tonight, we are looking at
We've got mid-topher tonight.
Mid-topher. All 4 orbs. This is still pretty basic.
And as we get down to the next section, our difficulty, our scaling, pretty standard boss stats, 70 to 150. Our overworld and dungeon encounter rates, 0.6, 0.7. I think we've been playing a lot with those in the Duck Seeds lately, so pretty standard stuff. The one main change, and it's not a huge change, but the XP is scaled down just a little bit. It's plus 7.7 per item, as opposed to, I think we've been playing 10 in a lot of the seeds lately.
Yeah, a lot of the seeds have been plus 10. So it's just a small gain. It's just a small change, but it does mean that you're not going to get quite as much out of your items, but still not very big of a change.
All right, our first big change, though, is when we get into our incentivized locations, though.
Yes.
So I will do my best tonight, because this is an extremely rare. Marsh is not incentivized.
Hey, never marsh, never ice.
And ice also not incentivized, so that's going to be working against muscle memory, because that's my default is Elfland into marsh, but have to remember not to do that tonight. The other significant change are, we have all 4 of our orb dungeons incentivized, but we may have to do some searching.
Yes.
Earth, our incentive item could be anywhere on the top 3 floors. Volcano could be the one chest on the carry floor, or any of the chests above it, and the floor above it.
Right. Any of the chests on Agama floor.
The Sea Shrine is almost every chest in there. We have one locked room because we do have another flag that's not turned on tonight. The Mermaid Prison, where all the mermaid doors become locked. That one's not on. So basically, our Sea Shrine incentive is pretty much anywhere in Sea Shrine. And then in Sky, those 3 floors in Sky, any of those can have our item. So we're going to be opening a few more chests tonight. Probably not a ton, but
more.
Going to have to do a little bit of searching.
So our game mode and overworld, we're going to have, unlike Sunday, we are playing with an overworld.
Right. Nothing exotic here. Just our open progression, early and extended. So that's like it's been a long time since I played a seed without those on. So those are pretty
Yeah.
standard.
We've been mixing up just early and extended, but I like extended open.
I do too.
Um, okay, we don't have Mermaid Prison on.
Right. Our other map stuff. This is all very standard
Yeah.
and all stuff we've been seeing in
Yeah.
previous duck seeds.
It's mostly a standard seed. It's mostly our standard flags, just with with a couple of wrinkles on the incentive locations in the Fiend dungeons, and you'll see one more coming up.
Right, do we want to just head down to that
Yeah.
one?
Because our treasures and
everything else is
freebies are
here
pretty well the
standard.
same. Our shops and magic are pretty well the same. Our enemies and formations are still pretty well the same as what we've been playing. This is our other wrinkle.
Yeah, so we've got party draft on. So once I start the seed, and I'm going to react to it just as you do because I have not looked at it yet. There's only 6 characters to choose from. But we do have safe party draft on, which is important here because under party draft with 6 characters, you could end up with 6 melee or 6 spellcasters. So we are guaranteed here to have at least 1 melee, I believe, and at least 2 different spellcasters.
Oh, oops. Guarantees 1 melee and 2 distinct mage classes.
So that makes our party selection little more interesting sometimes.
Our classes, it's pretty well the same class balance that we've had. We'll have 2 Blursings. We are going to have Thief Lock picking on, if a thief even shows up. There's no guarantee of that.
If Thief shows up, we will be taking one.
Yeah, and we've been running with 50 on the Thief Ninja Agility base. 80's just a little too good. And about the only thing to note here is that it's -1 to +5 on the equipment.
Right, and then the other final thing to notice is we do have airboat turned on.
Ah, yes, we do have airboat. So, airboat's a fun flag, and we'll show it off when it happens. But instead of having to go to the floater desert, you just get on the boat and take off.
Which feels great until you find canoe and floater early and can't find the ship.
Well, yeah. So that'll do for our flags. So let's see.
All right, fighter, black mage, red mage, thief, red mage. All right, fighter has +10 strength and +5 luck. The thief, which I promised I was bringing, +10 vitality and dual wield.
That's a nice looking thief.
Yeah, we may just run with that. The red mage has some early extra MP, which is really nice. And the black mage.
That's not a bad black mage either.
No.
Oh yeah, dual wield can be really nice, especially if you get like say 2 katana +5s.
All right, we're gonna go for it. Beef, red, red, black.
All right.
So before I start, just one of the things I like to mention, and I'll talk about this all night probably, is making sure you know what you're going to do before you get into a location. So my goal, although it's going to be a little harder tonight with the 3 mages, my goal going into Canaria, I know what spells I want at level 1. Um, my goal is to be out of Canaria within 30 seconds with all my spells purchased. It's very doable with 2 mages. With 3, it's harder. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run in, do it the way I normally would, and then maybe I can go back in and talk about why I bought what I bought there.
Okay.
All right. So, 3, 2, 1, go.
Also, we do have the hint givers on, so.
Wow, that's terrible magic.
Well, with all the good blessings.
And no hint. Check the item shop.
Right on 30 seconds.
There we go. So let me go back in now and talk about things. Weapon shop, unless I have absolutely nothing to kill Garland with, I'm not going into the weapon shop or armor shop in Canaria. I checked the white magic first because I want to know what order I want to put my spells in as I buy them. And there's just nothing here that I want. If I had a white mage, I'd buy Cure 2, but we don't have one, and it's locked to red wizard, so nothing here that I want for the red mages.
Well, something you can note is that we do have magic menu reorder turned on. So even if you buy them in the wrong order, you can fix it.
Over here for the black magic, not great. Brack will get us through Garland. Brack will also be useful potentially against Kraken and Tia. The other stuff doesn't really interest me, and then this is basically hope that I get something good at level 2.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then the other thing you may have noticed is a lot of people will go back into Canaria to save. I didn't do that. That takes too long. Most flag sets we start with tents, so I walk a couple steps out of Canaria and I save out here.
I noticed you saved on the first step coming out. The first step of the forest. Which is the first encounter table step, by the way.
Yeah, so clean walk up to Temple of Fiends, so that means we've got a good encounter table. So we'll just come up here and, of course, save before we go in, but we can just brack Garland.
Not going to check the chests for gear?
Nope. Chests are too far away. Takes too long to get to them. Canal and rod. So I very much like finding that rod early because there's not much more I hate than going into Earth without the rod.
Yeah. This guarantees you're not going to have to double dip Earth.
And now I'm just going to try and get a sense on how long the run is on the encounter table.
There's a good question in chat. If you had warp and exit, would you consider checking those Temple of Fiends chests?
Generally no. If I need money early, then absolutely. So right now we're seeing something I wouldn't normally do. Normally I go kill the pirates first, but because I don't have any AoE, yeah. I'm coming over here and buying Lit 3, which will make that easier. I also have to remember, because I did not go back into Canaria to save, that I need to stay at the inn first to get my magic back. Heal 3 is just will save us a ton of heal potions later on. And having 2 red mages have it is very, very nice.
Yes.
Area item check later. Like that, do you mean the item shop?
If you mean the item shop, he did check the item shop.
Yeah, it was in that 30 seconds. Yeah. I checked that. I should have gone back in there on my slower trip through. Tents, yeah. I'm gonna get a whole bunch of them because we know the encounter run on the table is good. Now, I need to go back and check the hint giver. That's why I normally would go to the magic shops later. What I'm going to do instead, I'm going to come over here, stay at the inn, get the hint, which tells us that the chime is in Lefane.
So vanilla chime.
And so now I don't have to go back to the inn. I've already saved.
Yeah, Mecklin in chat. Fry Teeth too fast. Fry Teeth is a fast runner.
This is a really long run.
Yeah, that's a big hero run off the hard reset. That's going to mean that all the encounters are backloaded.
Yeah. So the only place now we can go is to trade in this TNT. Now these chests I do check.
Because they're right here.
They're right there, and no encounters to worry about.
This has to be or lead to ship, canoe, or key. And it's a ship.
And now we've got a couple locations possible. We've got the Earth incentive. We've got the Sages. And I think that's it.
Yeah, with no canoe, we couldn't do ordeals.
So right here, I'm not hard resetting because I know I've progressed pretty far on the encounter table, and I actually want some fights because I'm probably going to have to go into Earth pretty soon. And at my current levels, that sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah, some levels would be real nice.
The nice thing is with that Lit 3, that one encounter of Giant takes us to level 6. I don't want that.
You don't want the EXPs?
I got surprised by them, so
Okay,
they're going to do a lot of damage.
I was gonna say, I was thinking that's usually a really good experience, especially at the levels where you are. But yeah, getting
absolutely. But yeah, it's because of the preempt. All right, we're at level 7. That's a little better. So let's at least head in here, see what's in the item shop. Oh, that's expensive. So there's our vendor item. It's the herb. It's 21,000.
22. It's just over 22. But if we're going to take some fights here, if we're gonna grind some levels here, that also means we could grind some. We could grind the money for that while we're doing that.
Yeah, and that's probably what we're going to need to do. Because the only places we could go for money right now are Earth and Marsh. But I'm going to go trade this adamant in. I always like to trade things in if I can. And maybe that gets us somewhere that gets us some money.
That is always a solid thing to do. There's always a solid piece of advice is turn things in when you can.
Unless I'm playing a black belt seed, I don't like to be stationary. I may have to in this seed, but Ruby. Nope, and that leads us to 2 more items.
Yep.
However, before I do that, that's going to put me over by Earth. And I'd like to check level 3 and 4 magic. Because if there's, you know, a nuke or something like that, then I'm ready to dive Earth. Well, that's awful. And I'm not going to buy Lit 2 because I've already got Lit 3.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's right. Oops.
Oh, but it's not Red Mage learnable.
Right. I will take the heal 2 just because there's nothing else at level 3. And again, that'll save me heal potions later. Fear 4 being Red Mage learnable is very nice. Check our hint. Alright, so Fairy's going to give us Cube. You know, we'll take Ice 3 on at least the Black Mage. Now that we've spent all our money. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to check Titans, which is incentivized. We will also check Sarda.
Which we know the Sarda is the bauble.
So you could make a case for not getting that right now because we can't turn it in until later.
But just getting it is an extra 7.7% XP.
Right. That plus the fact that with as long as this run is on the encounter table, we know we're not going to get any encounters. So it doesn't really save us any significant time to skip this. One of the other things I do all paper tracking for this. So I have a list of all the incentive locations on a piece of paper in front of me, and when I get hints about where things are, I write them down next to the location. Once I've cleared a location, I cross them off. House, copper bracelet, XP is nice, and there's our canoe. So with that canoe, guess where we're going? We're going to Ordeals.
Oh, we're not going to do the Earth dive?
Nope. With Lit 3, I mean, yes, I can probably survive it. But Ordeals is a little safer play to me.
That's fair.
And again, it gets us another item. And maybe gets us another level or 2.
So, Molehound, don't be scared. Don't be scared. That's the whole point of this. Is the whole point of the boot camp is to get to where you're not scared about whatever flag sets get thrown. This is a pack that makes me glad vanilla scripts aren't on.
That's definitely true. Also a nice XP pack right now.
Yeah. Top, 3 top.
This isn't bad either. I wouldn't mind getting up to level 15 because we're not too far from it.
Poison Touch on the Whiz Mummy.
And that's why I like Heal 2, is in a spot like that. I knew at least one character needed some healing, but that's just faster than worrying about who needs to be healed and how many heal potions to use. If I had more lit 3s, I would take that tile to 15. But they rolled pretty high HP, so...
Okay, some money, some heal pots. More money, more money. Arm stick. Good XP there.
And there's our airboat.
Okay, I am glad that it does say airboat on the in the game now. Although I'm kind of amused. Although I did get kind of amused when it was when it was floater and people didn't check the airboat flag.
Yeah, that happened to me a couple times, to the point that until this flag got added, until it got changed to say airboat, I would just get in the ship and just automatically press A just to make sure.
Okay, that's
so I can't. There's nothing. If we had a fighter, that would be really nice.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to have a fighter, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah, so that's why I came over to Cardia, was because I knew I needed money for that herb.
Yeah, and there are a lot of chests here.
And that ice armor, once we promote, is endgame armor for the thief.
That is 100% endgame armor for the thief.
This last one was pretty terrible, so I'm just gonna reset out, and I made sure I saved before I landed, so just saves a little bit more time. So I've got enough money to buy the herb now, so we'll go back, get that, and then turn that in.
Hey, we've got someone learning something. I'm just now learning you can save in the air.
Yeah, when you're checking locations, it's a huge time save if the location you went into has nothing.
It really is.
All right, crown.
As I chuckle a little as I see the vanilla fetch quest chain kind of rearing its head again.
All right, 2400 XP for level 15. So a lot of this is I'm just routing in as many items as I can early on because that gets us extra XP. Ribbon, I mean, sure. I'll put it on one of the red mages. Tips for air movement. I don't know that I have any good tips for air movement. I try not to get lost and go the most efficient route possible. So now I don't feel like I have anywhere else good to go. So time to head into Earth.
Well, you could go. You could turn in the bottle and get the cube, but that doesn't necessarily do a whole lot.
It doesn't, and I want to avoid going up there until I have the slab also, so I can hit Lefane and Gaia at the same time. So
That is
nothing there. You notice I check those from below because if I check them from above, there's an encounter tile.
Right, but it's also good to know what that encounter tile is. But
yeah, and that's actually a pretty good one if I need experience. This room, I want to check here, and I guess we don't need level 15 because there's our key.
Yeah, great encounter if you've got fire. Which unfortunately we don't, but...
So I'm going to step back out now, just so that I can save and reset the encounter table before heading down.
Right, make use of that long hero run.
Yeah, I'm still not thrilled about fighting Lich with only Lit 3, but I guess compared to what you used to have to do in the vanilla game,
yeah,
it's
compared
pretty
to the
good.
vanilla game.
Lich, in the vanilla game, Lich is a very scary fight.
Whereas here, it's a speed bump. This is a scary encounter in the vanilla game.
There's another example of why I like having the heal twos, because, yeah, just cast a couple of them and move on. So we're not going to check any other chests in Earth. Everything else to me in Earth is too low density and too many steps. Well, I'll check the one behind the vampire because that's basically on the path.
That's what, 2 extra steps to do that?
Yeah. Although if I'm running a black belt, I won't even check that one.
Yeah, if I'm running a black belt, I run black belts very, very aggressively. If I'm running a black belt, I check no chest that is not incentivized. If you had warp, would you do the armory on floor 4?
I would not. Because I know I've got an Massa coming somewhere. I found my ice armor for the thief. So while there's other stuff I'd like to find, there's better locations to me that aren't as far out of the way. You know, I'll probably check Volcano Armory. We're going to be checking a ton of chests in sea and sky, so it's not enough chests for me with the number of steps.
No, and these are good questions. These are good questions coming from chat.
And some people, and there's plenty of players who would disagree with that answer.
Yeah.
So we're just going to lit 3 here. And it shouldn't take too much, maybe 2 rounds.
Yes, that is pretty well the reason, because the random items upcoming that we're gonna have to do a lot of checks to get. that we're gonna have, or that we're potentially gonna have to open a lot of chests for, makes it much more cost effective, I'll say, to check those.
Now chests like this, I will check them all because there's no encounters to checking these.
Ooh, that Sun Sword +1's not bad. And the white shirt.
So there's an Oxyel that we need. The other thing I'm always doing, before I left Earth, I knew my next stop was going to be, check that incentive. At this point, there should be no thinking about where I'm going next. To me, the next location is Volcano. Now, I will check the armory in here because it is a lot of chests. I'm not as thrilled about this dive with only lit 3 for carry. That's a little riskier. Giant sword isn't bad.
And thief usable. Ooh, professional ring.
Yeah, no, it's red mage learnable.
Sorry.
Yeah. But we do have a couple nice weapons for the red mages to swing right now. Well, that paid off with another ribbon.
Yeah.
And I want the thief to have a ribbon for the end game if I get an extra one, so we'll just give it to the thief now.
Okay, and you don't bother checking the trapped chest?
I don't.
Spike tile chest. Okay. Hey, I'm learning from this too. I'm learning from someone who's a much, much better runner than I am.
Yeah, again, you're taking an encounter for a single chest, and to me, that's not time efficient. I play it very risky here. I don't like to heal until I get down to this floor. But again, this is where all these heal 2s are going to pay off. If Spike Chest preferred loot is on, then yes, I would. At that point, I would check that chest.
Right. Yeah, that always changes. That always, I won't necessarily say changes, but it at least makes you think about doing something else.
Yeah, we're gonna skip that one also because we found our loot already.
Right, and if we hadn't found the incentive yet, we'd have checked that one.
And then I do check these other couple ones that are either free or
nearly
just
so.
a step or two.
Not necessarily huge, but it is a significant routing shift in that you have to think about now, is it worth potentially getting into an encounter for what's now going to be known to be something good. But in this case, it still might not be usable. Ooh.
Black belt player and me can't resist the Agama.
Thin Agama too.
Yeah. So here, I'm going to start by swinging with the 2 red mages, because that may do more than the lit 3.
Are you going to go back and put Ice 3 on the 2 red mages?
Probably not. But we'll see what else we find as the seed goes on.
Oof.
Right, that's really not doing great, so we'll go back to magic. Right now, we're just concerned about keeping all 4 of these mages up because it's a slow fight.
It can be a very slow fight if the damage doesn't come out very well. There we go. I knew I always liked you, black belt player.
I'm just going to stop in Crescent Lake here because I need houses, and I don't remember if they were here or not. They're not.
They're in Corneria.
All right, thank you.
I don't remember if they're anywhere else, but I know they're in Corneria.
So again, I've already decided what's the next location to go to. Well, I can't go into Sky. I don't have, I mean, I can get to the cube, but I don't have Chime.
It has to be on that continent.
It has to be on Rec, yeah. And I've made one mistake. I'm going to fix that right now. I didn't check level 5 magic because warp or exit would really help a lot right now. Nope.
Oh, agreed.
And there it is.
Yep. And we've got level 5 charges.
Right, because of the black mage has 3, and then the red mages had him. I mean, the red mages had him from the beginning. Invis 2.
Probably not with a white art, especially when with a white shirt already in the inventory.
Yeah, with the scaling being where it is on the bosses, yeah, I don't use it a whole lot. So we're going to do Waterfall first. We've got to do both of these. And I'd rather do Waterfall first because if we get any XP, it's just going to make Sea Shrine that much easier because our goal in Sea Shrine is a single dive. Or I should say, at level 17 with level 1 Brack on 3 characters, I'm going to go left side first, check all the chests on that side, hope that I find it, whatever the incentive is in there, kill Kraken, and then if we need to do Mermaid side, we'll do that after.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
One thing that's going to make things tough, though, is...
Hi there, Out of Bounds back.
There's our slab. So I'm actually still going to go in. I want to check these chests. Because with our magic, we do have one problem. Oops. No fast or temper.
Yeah.
And that makes me nervous with this party.
Yeah, that's not something you necessarily. That's not something you like seeing.
Oh yeah, we will still check the hint, and that is just great. So we actually have everything we need to finish the game right now. Our sea and sky items are the massa and the tail. But with this party, with no fast and temper so far, I want both of those items.
Yeah.
So we're gonna dig both of them out.
Oh, got
that would be the advantage if we were running a black belt. If I had a black belt here, I can skip sea and sky items.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, if you had a black belt here, you'd be at some pretty high level.
Right. I wouldn't have come in here without being at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't
having
have come in
finished
here
my grind
without being through your grind.
Now we're seeing the fun part of the encounter table.
Yeah.
Yeah, also haven't seen any life magic either. Well, I guess that Pro Capon.
Yeah, professional cape is the nice thing to find.
Silver Shield will be useful after promotion. XP.
What I'd love to see here is I'd love to see the tail here. Because then you can promote on the way over to Sky.
Not only that, but I'd like to be promoted before I go into
Before
Lefane.
Tia.
No, before Lefane. That way I can
yeah.
take advantage of the super shop. That's a fight that's just worth, with all the Lit 3 charges we've got.
Yeah, that's
just good XP.
That fight is what I would call an XP pinata.
Saber 1 to 4. I don't think I saw Saber at 1 to 4 either.
Remember.
So our strategy against Kraken here is very simple. We just cast Brack until hopefully one of them hits. That's not a good start.
Kraken casts Punch. It's super effective.
Three. 4. Well, Kraken's playing nice now. Okay. 5 Bracks, not horrible. Not like the time in a bingo tournament a number of years ago where I think I needed 21 Quakes to get Lich down.
Oh, and I'm sure it was Feed Lich Cake was the
Yep.
Some of our bingo tiles are a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think you can actually still find the recording of that race somewhere. So we've got 4 boxes to check on this floor. We know the incentive is not in that center room, but I'm going to mermaids first. More chests, less encounters.
Yes, it's all about density. It's all about finding high density plays.
So I know no one asked this, but is there ever a time where you'd go mermaids first instead of going Kraken first in these flags? Well, there's a find.
Yeah. So, Mulhound, don't care if Saber's level 1 to 4. We've got infinite uses of Saber on the gauntlet.
So the one time I would go mermaids first is if my levels aren't good enough to take on Kraken, and I want to get some levels while I'm looking for the item.
And there we go.
So After all this time, the thief can finally have something to do. Sometimes my controller does things like that. My controller is actually older than this game is.
Oh, wow.
I'm playing on my original NES controller that I got when I got my NES, which is sitting behind me, that is now 36 years old.
I am impressed, sir.
So we don't have any right now. We don't really have to plan for where we're going because we have no options. We needed to translate so we can go get our chime and cube. We know our tails in sky. You could make a case for skipping the tail. And if anyone's wondering why I still checked the hint there, if the hint was for the tail, they would tell us what floor it was on.
Yes.
Do we have our Lefane shortcut on?
We
Yes,
do.
this is one of our newest flags, and this is terrific. Instead of having to walk all around, we get our chime there. We can check our hint, which, again, not terribly useful. I'm going up to check magic because I want to see if life. All right. Here's one of the bad things, but I'm going to admit it. I have no idea I don't think that slot is red wizard learnable.
I don't remember.
And life 2 is up in Gaia, so that we're not getting that. All right, temper for the black mage at least. Now there was Saber, level 8. So now I definitely want to promote because fast is going to be level 7 or 8 in Gaia. I mean, well, that doesn't guarantee that it's promotion locked. One of those level 7 spells is not.
But that's the way to bat.
Oops, I wanted to save. Now you may see me take a couple more fights going through Guy than I normally would, because right now, even if I got fast, I can't use it. I don't have any level 7 or 8 charges on the black mage.
Not enough XP to be worth it?
No.
I don't know the Catman or Man-Cat packs are ever worth taking.
I don't think they are at all. Yeah. I'll take this since it's free. Oh, I thought that would go down to a single swing.
I kind of thought it would too.
These floors will be a lot faster to explore because we have lots of warp.
Yeah, lots of warp charges.
Alright, that didn't take too long to find the tail. Well, that's actually better than that silver shield. Alright, we've now full cleared every incentive item. Other question, is there anything else I'd like to have at this point? You know, to make it worth checking Sky 3. And the answer is, I'd love to have a defense sword.
Yeah, I'd love to have a defense sword or a ruse stick.
So the density up here, and given that we've got lots of warp charges, is high enough for me to look. Single fighter, pretty good XP. Well, that was not really worth it.
So, Mulhound in chat, white shirt is strong though. White shirt is strong, but ruse stick is twice as strong on that one character.
And the reason I'd love to have the ruse stick, or, oh, that's better than the ice armor. If I end up in a position where, say I'm solo thief at the end, solo thief with power gauntlet and the ruse stick at 70 to 150 scaling, you feel like you can get through. I kept saying I was going to take fights in here, and then I didn't.
Well, most of the fights weren't really that good.
Fair enough.
I mean, probably the best fight we had was that Manticore.
Wouldn't mind seeing a war mech.
If nothing else, it's an intel for the refights.
Yeah, this fight is nice XP though. So I think I'll be. Well, if fast roll's level 8, we're just probably gonna have to go without.
If fast roll's level 8, we'll have one charge of it. We'll have what one charge of it for chaos, something like that.
All right, we've spent too much time in here. It's always the question, though, do you take a few extra fights in here, which obviously slows you down, but gives you some safety, versus the amount of time a second Topher dive would take. So this will look just like the Kraken fight, except the Thief can do something also. We're just going to swing and throw out Brax. That's 6.
7.
Only took 7. So yeah, we've got 3 level 7 charges, but we didn't get to level 24, so no level 8 charges.
And Saracen says, "I've come just in time for the improbably bad Brack luck." I see.
So no ruse, no defense item, and no katanas either.
But we've got a Maza.
And that thief is a little better protected now. Alright, so we are going to check for fast. But notice I saved over there so that if fast is no good here, I can just reset right back to that point. Block is... So we'll just show this should be here if I've kept track of everything. Yeah, there's fast. So we've got mid-Topher, so very, very easy. Only one possible route to go here. And then we've got all the shortcuts. So we're probably going to get partway through Carrie's floor at least before we run into an encounter.
So I'd like all of our ducks to notice the routing that Fryteeth took on that floor. That is the optimal routing for this floor.
Lich and Carry, to me, generally, again, at the scaling we're playing at, you go all offense on those. The longer those fights go, the more opportunity you give for something bad to happen.
You are not, in fact, wrong there.
That was very bad walking. We're going to blame that on the 36-year-old controller. This Kraken fight's a bit rougher because we don't have life, we don't have a lot of things. So yeah. Thief is going to fight. This red mage doesn't really have anything great to do, so I'm just going to swing.
Was that
this red mage
has
the white shirt.
That's the one that has the white shirt.
And we'll throw out a temper. I'm only going to use one temper because I don't want to use them all here. On the other hand, I don't want to take them all with me because then, you know, if the black mage dies, then we have no way to bring it back up. We're going to play this we're going to play this very conservatively because of the situation. White shirt. And throw out a nuke. Blow 2 hits the red mage. That's very good.
Slow 2 hits something that's not swinging.
Oh wait, I already did that. And we're going to do exactly the same thing with Tia. And we just got very lucky there. 6 HP
yes.
left on the black mage. So every single one of those fights we took in Sky was worth it because no, we want to see if we can keep the black mage alive. White shirt. Because one less level and that black mage dies. Yeah, nope. I feel like I've got enough offense to get through without it.
Now we may see it on Chaos.
Yeah, we'll probably use it once on Chaos. But Saracen's comment is exactly right. every time you use that is you're not doing damage. We're going to put the thief in the back just to protect him. White shirt. And we'll do a little bit of this. All right. He did his job. All right, that's the kind of scary nuke. All right, 4 hits for 400. All right, this chaos isn't hitting very hard. I think it's only 2 white shirts, and he's already missing the red mages.
Yeah.
4 hits for 400. We're just going to swing at this point. Maybe we will play it a little safe.
Keep the ablative meat shields up.
That's about 1,500. We've already gotten to the low end of his range. 2,000. Should only be 1 or 2 more rounds. And there we go.
GG.
Thanks.
So would you have considered taking a black belt if a black belt was on offer?
So there's generally 3 things I look at when deciding whether or not to take a black belt. And in this case, probably not. The 3 things are the incentive locations. You know, with as many random incentive locations as we had on, I'm going to be opening a lot of chests, and that's not something I want to do. Black belt, you know, I opened 109 chests. When I run a black belt seed, I want to open 12 chests, 14 chests.
Oh, that's even more than I try to open on a black belt seed.
Well, usually I need money at some point if there's an early vendor item like there was tonight. So the incentive structure doesn't favor the black belt. Also, the fact that we've got a guaranteed endgame weapon is a bit of a strike against the black belt. The other 2 things that I'm looking at when deciding, I'm looking at the boss scaling. 70 to 150, pretty low. I usually don't, you don't really need the black belt for that kind of scaling. If you guys start getting up, where 150 to 200 to 250, that's when I'm definitely taking a black belt, because stronger bosses want to do more damage. If Lich 2 only has 400 HP, hitting him for 2,000, it feels good, but it's not the most efficient use of time. The third thing I look at is Topher. Short Topher is I'm least likely to take a black belt. Long Topher, I'm most likely. A wipe it deep in long Topher, especially without a black belt, that can cost you 5, 6, 7 minutes. Whereas the black belt in long Topher, you're probably not wiping. So those are the 3 things I look at. Mid Topher, we're right in the middle. You can go either way. But when I was new to this game, I tried to make everything a black belt seed. And I had a fair amount of success with it. But a seed like this, now that I'm a lot more experienced, black belt's going to cost time, because we checked some tiles at various times, but we didn't find a great looking grind. And with how long that encounter run was off the hard reset, certainly not doing an overworld grind. So sorry, that was a very long answer to a
No,
short question.
that was a very complete answer that I think will be very helpful for the ducks. Um, so, any final questions from from anyone in chat? We'll give them a minute. So this seemed like a fairly linear, like a more or less linear seed. Would you agree?
Yeah, I didn't feel like there was any real decision points in this seed. I mean, I know some people would have gone to Earth when I went to Ordeals instead, but what I mean, that might save you or cost you 30 seconds, but maybe not even that. So that, yeah, yes, there was a decision to make there, but it wasn't a big decision. But I agree, very very linear seed. This seed told you where to go.
Well, if the slab is in Ordeals, then you look like a genius.
Right.
So, seeing no other questions in chat, thank you again, Fryteeth, for running this for us. There will be an async up tomorrow. There'll be a race up tomorrow of these flags.
Yeah. Thanks for having me tonight. It's always fun to try and teach the newer players how to beat us. You know, I was there once too. I played in two duck derbies. My first duck derby went so badly that I didn't qualify. Or you could say I qualified for a second one, and it was these kinds of things that were you know very very helpful. You know, VOD reviews are also another very useful thing if people are looking for those.
Yes, very much so. I really got better. What really got me better was getting VOD reviews. Uh, I remember the old Puff and Pulse Variety Hour. Gregory Puff and Dead Pulse doing VOD reviews.
Yeah,
Uh,
what helped me was about 6 months after I joined maybe a little longer, but it was my first fall league, and um, Cheesenator, who haven't seen him around here in a couple of years, but ended up on his team, and he was very, very experienced, and you know, in order to try and help us do better, he watched a lot of my seeds, and in about 2 months, I went from being very, very, very mediocre to a lot of improvement.
Went from mediocre to solid to tournament favorite.
But that only came with, as I said, it was the VOD reviews that helped a lot, and then lots and lots and lots of practice. The Duck Weekly, the Async Weeklies, I probably run 90% of those seeds, week to week.
Yeah, I noticed seeing your time in there a lot, and it always humbles me to see how well you run these seeds because I usually think I'm doing pretty decently, and then I see you 15, 20 minutes ahead of me.
Yeah, well, who knows how many seeds I've run at this point. But that's also why, some of these Monday and Thursday night races, if I can get into them, I've been trying. I felt bad a couple times because it was me and a bunch of the ducks running them, and I was like, I'm not coming in here just to do this, but you know, that way if they want to see how someone else would run the same seed, they can go back and watch what I did also. So if you see me as the only non-duck in any of these races on Mondays or Thursdays, it's it's just because I like playing, and but also because if you know if it helps anyone to see me running the seed, yeah, why not?
Well, again, thank you, Fry Teeth. Um, no, it no, we don't try to dunk on the ducks, Saracen. Um, Thank you again, Fry Teeth. The party draft is a fun mode. It's a very different mode. It's not necessarily one that you get. It's not one that we necessarily do a lot of, but you'll see it at least a couple times a year. You'll see it in Fall League. Um,
I
it
also
tend.
think the oh sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I also think it's really good practice because sometimes, in our big yearly tournament, um, sometimes those seeds will require a draft, not party draft, but party draft between the two players. And so I think this is kind of a first step in that direction. And having this safe mode, safe party draft is definitely a good start because otherwise you could end up party draft where you know you're running. I think I saw something crazy once, like 5 white mages and a black mage.
Oh, that's disgusting. That's pretty disgusting.
That builds character.
Yeah, that builds four characters, in fact. Um, so, again, thank you. Um, we'll wrap up shortly. If you've enjoyed this and you're not already in the Discord, join the Discord. Um, I think that's, yeah. Look at the website, join the Discord, uh, watch the YouTube channel, go to the wiki. A lot of information on the wiki. A lot of it's linked directly from the main website, FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. Uh, for all of us here, for Fry Teeth, our runner tonight, for all the ducks in chat, thank you for coming out. I have been DM Stewart 1981. Good night, everybody.